Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Fictional Activity with Q and Atra. I'm Q,
I'm Atra.
and one of these days we'll figure out the timing on this thing. Tonight we are joined by Atty, or
Atty
that
works.
blind chick from Arcona. Atty, say hello.
Hey everybody, good to see you, but not because I'm blind. And also, this is a podcast.
Unfortunately, we weren't able to ship her a Blue Yeti microphone, so we have to deal with onboard laptop microphone. Hopefully the levels are good. Hopefully the levels are fine, but it's what we got to deal with. So topics for this discussion today are slightly more focused than they were in the first episode. We're going to be looking into specifically stuff that relates not exactly to Atty specifically, but the first one definitely does. Transferring from writing fantasy into sci-fi. So that must have been a bit of a culture shock for you.
Atty,
In
do you
some
have
ways.
fantasy?
Pardon?
I didn't know you wrote fantasy before.
Well, I started off writing that way, just like my own stories and things. I like the fantasy genre best.
Okay.
And my start to really kind of writing, especially online, was on fanfiction.net with World of Warcraft and Skyrim, which are both fantasy.
The fabled Dovahkiin.
True.
Don't.
I'm just saying that's literally within 5 minutes of first ever hearing your name. Someone's like, "Yeah, she wrote that Dovahkiin thing." I'm like, "What?"
Dovahkiin extra.
I still have yet to read this, and I'm
Because it doesn't exist.
Mhm. I find that highly suspect. Thank you.
Okay, there is a Skyrim story, but it's not Dovahkiin Dragon.
I mean, you know, Skyrim, World of Warcraft, they both are such open worlds with such rich backgrounds and histories. You can do a lot without doing Dovahkiin, Dragon X.
You can just
Dovahkiin.
flip the bird to the main quest line and just go off and do whatever. You can go on an adventure and die horribly.
Especially with some of the great mods
Never
out
complete
there.
the quest.
Some of which we're not allowed to talk about. Anyway.
Most of which.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got some great Bosmer armor. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's a lot of parallels between fantasy and sci-fi, especially if you look at religious sci-fi, because that has a whole lot of, I don't know, fantasy loves to go into religion because you have your gods, your deities, and they love to make those things omnipresent.
Praise the God Emperor.
And sci-fi has that same habit. And
Well,
it's definitely
Warhammer Fantasy has that too.
I know, but you gotta look at our main competitions here, which is the Trekkies versus the Warriors or whatever. They don't even have a name because everyone is a Star Wars fan.
Live long and prosper.
I mean, yeah, live long and prosper, dude.
Bitch.
I was trying to refrain, and then Andy said it for me.
That's okay.
Here more often.
Yeah, no, it's just you don't see much religion unless they're like making an episode around it. Whereas you could argue that the Jedi Order itself is a religion, and the Sith are
they
a
dress like a
religion.
bunch of
Definitely
monks
argue that.
anyway.
Yeah,
Star Wars-
dresses like a monk, quacks like a monk, must be a monk.
Star Wars is
even the
pretty
Sith
unique
kinda
in that
do that, too.
respect, in that we classify it a lot of times in the big sci-fi group along with Star Trek or whatever have you, but it's actually very heavy on some of the fantasy elements because of the magical nature of the Force that doesn't really get the same rule book that you usually have in sci-fi.
And did that sort of ease your transition into writing it? Did it make that more accessible to you?
Oh, not at all. I don't know Star Wars. That's the biggest thing you'll find out if you actually talk to me at length is I've never even seen like all of the movies all the way through.
Yeah, excuse me.
It's okay. 4 through 6 are
I'm
the
not
really
a
important
huge
ones.
Star Wars fan. I don't really like Star Wars. So I don't know a lot about the world, and that was the culture shock coming into the club, was having to figure out these mechanics that I knew nothing about, and I would run into these things like, okay, what words they do and don't have, or what you can and can't do with the Force, or how something does or doesn't work, and I'm like, but that makes no sense. They do this thing over here, and then it's like, no, that's the rules. That's if you read a book, you would know. I'm like, Okay, great.
God, get cultured. And then freaking Disney comes in and goes, yeah, all those books you just had to go learn. Lol. And
that's why I never bought any of the books, and I just read Wikipedia.
Well, I bought the Jedi Code, the Sith Code, and the Bounty Hunters Codex, and those are good reads with the things scribbled in the margins and stuff. Those are fun, and I like to think bits of it are still, cherry-picked canon, but...
I mean, it can still be relevant in a lot of ways. The underlying mechanics of the universe, for the most part, still exist.
Yeah, and the legends now is just campfire stories. So you could have that crazy uncle that will regale you about the story of how Darth Bane blew up a thought bomb and killed all the Siths because he's the best and he knows better, and the World War II happened. Now Darth Bane exists. Obviously, he was brought back into canon in season 6 of Star Wars Rebels, but nothing surrounding him is. So once again, fill in the holes with whatever canon we have and what information we have available to us.
I love Drunk Uncle Bob's stories.
It's gonna be you one day. You're gonna be the drunk Uncle Q.
I weep for anybody in that gene pool. I don't know. It's just you have an interesting character archetype. You came in not as a combatant character like so many people with their red saber swinging and something Harambe. But but you got the medic character. You have this huge devotion to the Ashla and the Bogan, and just you have embraced the sci-fi of Star Wars and then injected it with all this fantasy. And especially choosing the Miraluka, which are now such an embroiled legends race with, like, we can't even talk about how they see without having an argument. So
100 email thread argument.
Yeah.
I love.
Hey, put that on the sigh counter.
Yeah, there's my sigh. First sigh of the day.
I mean, I actually. Oh, right, sigh counter. Boop,
there you
1.
Go.
So, but I actually wrote Addie's character recently, and she can vouch for me on this. I read that out of character article you wrote, and that's phenomenal. I think a lot of people should do that, especially with the more developed characters.
Thank you.
But the way you described it was it didn't make it sound Daredevil, which was nice for one. I mean, tell us more about Atty as a character. You can go into the sight vision.
Just how I would describe her vision, or how I see it personally.
Yes, both. Hit us with the book.
Both. Don't ask that. I will drop an actual novel on you.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's right. I've seen your main wiki too. That
terribly out of date, but that's okay.
Hey, so is everyone's.
Sad topic for another time, but sad.
But give us a little bit about Atty. Where does she come from? Where
did she go? Where did she come from, Cotton Eye Joe?
Just because we're American does not mean that's a thing we do, okay? And that band is what, Swedish?
It's in my head now.
I don't know these things. All I know is it's an earworm, and now you must all suffer as I have suffered.
Don't make me start singing the chicken dance.
I don't want to be a chicken. You guys. Okay.
All right, so Atty's Miraluka.
Atty's Miraluka.
Now Arcona is known as like the Shadow Clan.
They are.
Okay, but Atty is Jedi.
She's probably the lightiest lighty that ever lightied, at least in this club.
I mean, that's not entirely wrong.
Lighter than half of COU with some of her opinions.
Yeah, well, semantics-wise, she's gray, but yeah, gotta do what you gotta do when you're consul of the dark gray clan, or dark gray, or whatever you guys went with.
Double gray.
Double gray.
Double gray.
Hashtag gray pride.
There you go. It's so
Don't ever tell anyone outside of this podcast that I use the word hashtag. I hate that word. I despise it.
And
Moving
now
on.
it's immortalized.
They're all going to hear it.
Kiss my ass. You did.
Number 2.
Sign numero dos.
Okay. Well, you bring up that point. So I'll start by saying that Atty didn't really have an inspiration going in. I myself like to play good characters. I was Alliance in Warcraft. Anyone listening that knows, the Horde can suck it.
For the Horde!
Alliance.
Shut up. Shut your mouth.
Blood elves for life.
Night elves.
Night
elves.
elves.
In the butt.
Night elves.
My night elf rogue will beat your face.
I played Alliance. I was a Paragon first on my quote-unquote playthrough with Mass Effect. All that stuff. I like to play the good guy. And so I actually didn't want to come into the club when my friend Lucy brought me from fanfiction.net because
that would be NAF, right?
Yeah, NAF. It was just the Dark Jedi Brotherhood, and I'm like, I don't want to play a freaking Sith. Those guys are broody and boring and dark, and I hate dark.
I'm sorry, we're not talking about the present voice. Let's continue talking about Atyiru.
But I had no choice, and so I just joined, and I played my character how I wanted to. I was like, you know what? No. This little lady bitch is going to come in and throw rainbows on all of you. And that's what she ended up doing.
And that's what we get for moderately consensual joining.
Yeah.
Glitter everywhere.
Now, when I first came up with Atty, I really had nothing going in. I knew I wanted to play a healer character if it was possible, which at the time seemed like was kind of something maybe with the old character sheet system, and there was like 1 force power for mending. And I wanted her to be kind of older, wise, like sage-like, and that was it. I actually took her name from my World of Warcraft main priest character and just spelled it backwards and dropped a letter, and that was it. That was Atty. And she became very different, not only as I wrote her, but like over the last year as she almost became the club's property, because for some reason people love her character and they've almost adopted her now.
I mean,
she's this sunshine lady.
For some reason, she's adorable.
If you need something random to get you from point A to point B, you can always count on Atyiru.
See, that's the other thing, is she's got this whole need a reason for an event. Atty will do it just because fun or love or parties or something.
Yep.
It's actually really gotten away from me now because I have to re-steer it to be like, she's console for a reason. She has this serious side that's going to be coming into play in the upcoming war.
And it definitely came into play in the most recent Aftermath fiction.
Indeed. She got to shackle some traitorous bitch.
You can't even do it with a straight face on a Discord discussion.
I can't.
Except, I make one joke about Stormy and Murder Atty comes out, but
I'm biting my tongue right now. So.
Yeah, that is probably for the best.
The things that could be said.
Being born would have been for the best. I mean, rainbows. That's what I mean is rainbows.
Yeah. Just corrupting all that is good about the shadows and turning them into light bulb.
This is kind of true. The clan, I'm not one to dwell on this much because I don't like the idea of so much change coming from one person, let alone coming from me. It's just not so much in my character, but it's been pointed out to me before that since I joined, the clan has gotten a lot more varied, I suppose. There's a lot more gray going on, and I think part of that stems, yes, from the fact that Atty as a character is such a spearhead in the area of being light, even when you're in the Dark Clan. Yeah.
I mean, there's only so long you can keep the Citadel's hedges perfectly groomed through emo tactics. So...
There's flowers now. I need flowers.
There are flowers now, and random splotches of paint.
All multicolored paint. We couldn't have the one color because the sticker looked awkward in Telegram.
It looked awkward in Telegram. There's another version.
There's many versions of that sticker. I don't know. It's a fun character. It's easy to pull into and create wacky scenarios. It allows a lot of freedom for people from what I've seen. And a lot of attachment has grown there. Like you said, it's gotten away from you. It's been adopted by the clan as opposed to just you. Hell, it's been adopted by clans, plural. And just
this is true.
Yeah, I'm not even in Arcona. CNS is about as far away as we can get from, everyone else. And Q is going to adopt Atty and be like, you touch her, you die.
Q has already been adopted by Atty.
Yeah, that initial hug was adoption 101.
Oh, you're mine now.
Stole-adopted, rather, is the term.
Stole-adopted.
If you meet Atty,
you've been voluntold to be part of my retinue.
Yeah. I mean, even, like, you could show up and be like, literally, look her in the face and go, you're going to die. And she'd be like, okay.
Literal fiction Atra has written.
And you guys wonder why people like Atty? I mean, who doesn't love hugs? Come on.
Hi, this guy.
Atra, but
I don't do
okay.
hugs.
You love hugs.
He gets them.
I literally.
You'd be okay with it.
No, I would not.
Atra, drink the tea. Drink the tea.
No, you don't understand. I'm the one who brews the tea.
You don't get it. Edgar is the one in the hole.
Exactly. Get back in your hole. You're like I even let you out just to do these podcasts. Under duress.
Really? You want to go there? Mister, I don't want to do this. Anyways, moving along.
Too many new ones. You were saying Q.
Gonna learn some shit.
Ooh. So, final bit, at least for a second, on Atty before we move on to next topic. Healer. She is a healer who, as I've read it, is primarily force powers. Like, she doesn't really do the lightsabery swoosh, swoosh, boom, boom. It's almost all that, I don't want to call it psychological warfare, but I really don't have another term for it.
I mean, it's accurate enough. She has a lot more mental powers, we'll say, than she does the more physical powers. Like, amplification is on her sheet, but it's not, like, emphasized. I didn't have telekinesis until my last promotion, and Vic was actually telling me, you can't not have TK.
It's like the most basic of things.
It's like, it's the Jedi power. You cannot not have TK, so I put it on my sheet.
Yeah. TK and precog, those are the golden two.
She is not a combatant. Like I said, when I wanted to bring her in, I wanted a healer, and so I gave her what was at the time the healing powers, and then when we had the new character sheet system, I gave her those healing powers and some mental ones to match with her empathy traits and all of those, like telepathy and mind trick, even though that one's a little sinister for her in some of its applications.
Only some?
Yes.
I'm just saying, the more creative of us can get away with some stuff with mind trick.
Yes, it can be very sinister, and Atty isn't innocent of some of those sinister applications either, even if she does think, road to hell, good intentions, she's doing it for good reasons.
I mean, would you say there's a possibility that she could not be aware sometimes that she's subtly influencing someone? I don't know what your mind trick is at. I don't have everyone. Contrary to popular belief, I don't have every character sheet memorized.
I think it's +3 is where I
just have my
left it.
browser open.
Yeah.
Mind trick is at +3. Yep.
Yeah. So would you say there could be times where she's not even aware of it herself that she's influencing somebody?
I think it's probably definitely possible, especially with how I've written Mir Luca, how I've come to write them, of where they project their emotions and everything for them is very outward.
That would do it.
And so if she's got this high telepathy, if she's got this high mind trick and she's upset or she wants people to fall in line or impassioned or something like that, and she's making an argument, then I totally think she could unconsciously be affecting the room around her. Sometimes for ill and not for good. It's a quandary to her because she generally prizes the idea of free will, and so the idea of influencing people is distasteful to her, but she's still done it, and she has done it willfully before, even against people's wishes.
There's beneficial ways of influencing people. I mean, just look at Obi-Wan and the death stick dealer. You don't want to sell me death sticks. I don't want to sell you death sticks. You want to go home and reevaluate your life.
Rethink your life. Whatever. You call yourself a fan. God.
Yeah, what did I say earlier?
Yeah, 4 through 6 only matter.
Are the important ones.
Yeah.
Granted, who's the guy that played Obi-Wan in the recent movies?
Ewan McGregor is a treasure.
Ewan McGregor. Yes, I love him. He's a great actor. He's a great Obi-Wan.
I think he's the only one who realized how ridiculous everything around him was and just decided to have fun with it. So, there's information I have received recently that I will not be sharing, but I will inform you that I am seriously reevaluating our friendship out of character and reevaluating my intentions in character. So
that's metagaming. You're
anyone still feel like that?
Have you met me? I'm the combat master. The ACC is only metagaming.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we'll come back around to talking about Atyiru and beyond that, Satsi as well, because that character, that's a joint NPC, really, but it's probably the only NPC that's gotten its Wikipedia article of the month.
Which was unexpected, but yeah.
Also, partly because no one can define how NPCs work properly to us lower minions, but
they don't work. They will be something that will be added into possessions as a companion slot, but until then, it's just something you throw up on your wiki to just have there. I mean, I have 2 NPCs tacked onto my character page.
And one of these days, I'll create wikis for that whole group that I created a bit ago, including the Kung Fu Master Uncle Jar Jar Binks combo.
Please don't.
I'm intrigued, and I would like to introduce particularly Brayson. Yeah.
Oh, you want to introduce the Gungan to Brayson? Of course you.
Well, in that Number 3.
No, that's 4.
Don't worry. I got this just because I don't say it. I got my counter.
So we're going to be coming back around to that, and there's, I don't know, does this have a stigma? Does it not have a stigma? We're going to talk about girls. Not girls, as in, hey, girl. We're going to talk about...
When there are people with boy parts and people with not boy parts. Oh, not that kind.
No, okay. We're going to talk about guys in real life. Acronym GIRL. There are many.
I played World of Warcraft too.
They're very prevalent in World of Warcraft, which is probably where most of the stigma comes from. But in the club, it's. I mean, I can't.
Also, AOL chat rooms.
Yeah, I mean, out of our most notable members of the club that are girls, we have the Herald. Has 2 female characters to speak of. You have Morgan and you have Forza. Then. You have Q. Hi. Say hi.
Yeah, I already did.
Yep, you said it as I said it. Thank you very much.
Move along.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple months where I was among the ranks as well.
And that's how I got my in-character girlfriend.
That's how your tenacity got you an in-character girlfriend.
Yes. And things have only gotten better since then.
Or more complicated.
More complicated too, but better overall, fiction-wise.
Yeah, so it's just, I don't know, like, I think the biggest question that first comes to mind is why? I mean, Atty, what do you think about guys playing female characters, fictionally speaking?
From your female perspective, tell us about your mother.
Yes, please.
Well, I'll certainly say first that there's definitely some stigma against it, and that I personally see nothing wrong with it. I think it's just any other form of character exploration, and in fact, it's even more of a challenge to play something out of your own personal gender than it is to match it.
Do you you get offended if somebody does something terribly writing a female character?
And if so, what such things?
Inquiring minds would like to know.
About to ask what things. I've never been offended in particular by a guy playing a girl character doing something, whether it was, I don't know how they wrote the girl acting, or even if you want to say something sexual. No, I've never been offended by something like that. I mean, in part, that's because people don't tend to want to write their own character acting, I don't know, dumb or silly or something, so that it doesn't happen. But even more so, I have yet to see a male playing a female character do it poorly, particularly in this club.
I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I would say it's a good thing because you're focusing more on writing a good character and, in that sense, a person, and not some stereotype that you may or may not get wrong in the presentation of.
Alternatively, some of us have some serious identity issues.
I mean, there's stereotypes no matter what gender the character you're role-playing as is. I mean,
it's true.
There's so many stereotypes. I mean, epicanthics is a walking stereotype. Why are they called epicanthics? Because of the folds in their eyes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then somebody goes, what's an epicanthic fold?
That little eye fold that is common to
Asian
descent.
Yeah. And then somebody in the background cries, "That's racist." Yes, it is. And that race isn't canon anymore.
But you know what? It's applicable because it's true.
Yeah, it's applicable. That's a racial trait of the apicanthics race. Yeah.
Oh, snap.
And hopefully they never come back to canon because I don't want to deal with that can of worms.
It's a shame it's a can of worms at all.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody can be relaxed about that sort of thing. Like, people aren't trying to go out and be politically incorrect or politically correct or walking on eggshells, but it happens. People get offended.
That's true.
And normal people, I shouldn't say normal, decent fellows or gals do not wish to offend people on the regular. There are times when there's definitely somebody you want to offend, but those are usually limited.
Channel, I want to, since we're talking fiction, I want to point out fellows is gender neutral.
Fair enough.
Most actually masculine words are, because it's considered the default.
Like mankind, for instance, is neutral.
Mankind, or it really should be Shadow Lord.
When you put human in there, I mean...
I know, then you get complicated, but this is not a path I wish to go down. I mean, there. How should I phrase this? There's a better guest we could have on for this particular path.
Oh yeah, don't worry, we got her lined up. I am getting in touch. My people are getting in touch with her people as we speak.
You have people.
Do you doubt that I have people? My people will get in touch with your people, and they will have words.
Okay, I'll be waiting for these words.
Okay.
He doesn't actually have any people. In fact, if anything, he's one of my people. Along with like a staff that's predominantly Odin because apparently the club is allergic to being on the ACC staff.
Which is why he hired me, because he needed at least someone in the darkety gray sector, apparently.
No, Alaris is a thing. He exists, but he's moved over to proconsul status. So, I got to give some, how should I phrase this?
Well, you're more familiar with them than I am.
Some allowance for priorities.
Oh, yeah. But anyways, back to girls.
Yeah,
because I like talking about girls. Girls are fun.
Yeah, that you've been a girl as long as I've known you in the club. What's
Mr.
that been like?
Oh my!
Oh my!
Focus. Come on.
All right. So nothing's yet offended you about girls, guys in real life. I mean, is there something that you can think of that would make you go, what the hell is he doing? Like, case in point, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I will throw this out as an example. Because I'm actually, despite being a girl myself, I would consider myself a bad person to ask. Because I was raised with 4 brothers. I'm more of a tomboy than I am, I guess, girly. But I don't have a lot of the same sensibilities to think of what might offend most women.
I mean, most writers avoid the whole question of moon flows and such nonsense, thankfully.
Speaking of which...
Oh, god damn it!
Hey, I've written Q taking a dump in... Well, actually, it was a piss in the woods, but...
Can we just count that one as 2 sighs?
Sure.
No, there was one earlier. I already counted that one. We're good.
I will go on in this to say that we being myself and some of the Upper Arcana Summit had been discussing fictional thanks, Vera, we know. Lots of fictional ideas with Saren following one of the first fiction update. And one of the things we wanted to do was have Atty be standing up to Travis, and he would like beat the hell out of her or something, but she would still get back up. And in suggesting that, it hadn't occurred to me that they would want to avoid that portrayal of a male character hurting a female one.
I mean,
and that's come up in the past with the DC. I know is a famous fiction with Raken. Yeah, Raken.
Yeah, that one sticks with you, unfortunately. It's never the good fictions that stick with you. It's always the ones that just made you stop and swear.
So I guess that's the question: is what about that would make you stop and swear? Since I'm a girl and it hadn't occurred to me, hey, people might not want to read this of maybe violence against women or sexual assault, something like that.
Violence against gender here for a moment. Q, your character's primary combat aspect is about nut shots.
Correction, groin shots, because I can tell you from experience, because
getting kicked between the legs if you're a lady hurts. Okay.
Oh yeah, kick to the is gonna hurt just as much.
And that's getting censored. Come on, man.
It's a legitimate term. If you want, I can use the full medical term.
Let's not.
I'll teach you all a medical lesson today.
Can we not?
Your boy
The healer is going to give us some medical lessons after this. But yeah.
I mean, gonads themselves are a medical term.
This is true.
Okay. But anyway, yes, groin shots, they're a thing. And they are unisex.
I mean, do you ever stop and wince when you're writing one of those?
This is going to be one of those cases where you should hear the stuff I don't say.
Fair enough.
Like, I used to have a hobby, and this is probably one of the reasons my Inquisitorius fics are so much fun, is because when there's a torture scene, it's like, how could I make this hurt and make people at home cringe like they themselves were getting their nipples pinched by electro probes or something? You know,
right.
that's half the fun there.
All right.
I guess. I mean, circling back around to the experience of being a girl.
A girl?
I don't know. The thing that I've noticed most is that you run into the issue that a lot of people who are new, for instance, and join a battle team, for instance, and the battle team's leader is Qyreia, for instance, and they are referring to them in Telegram with the she and her and all that kind of stuff. That can be a little awkward. Like, I mean, hell, I never knew what to write when giving you recommendations for crosses. I went with the safe their efforts, their presence. I just skipped he, she entirely.
That's actually a fun topic.
Like, what do you call them? But that begs the question: are recommendations in character or out of character? I tend to think of them as out of characters, so I should be preferring. Yeah. English.
I would usually go out of character myself.
Yeah, I would have to go with he in that case, even though I'm talking about Qyreia. But I'm not going to start name dropping your real life name in a wreck, for instance. So
well, I mean,
I'll do that if I know the person. But
if you had never talked to me on like Google Hangouts or TeamSpeak or anything like that, you wouldn't know anyway. I could have posed as a female this entire time, and you never would have known. I don't know.
That's tough.
Did I break up a little bit there?
No, you went through it clearly the entire time.
I think we were just picturing it.
You're just picturing me in a skirt?
I've seen you in makeup, so...
This
isn't like... Rocky Horror.
that was a fun night. But actually, no, that brings up a fun thing, because I've had to think about my own, like, how do I want them referring to me? And frankly, I have no problem being referred to on, say, Telegram, or hell, even in recommendations on the site as with female pronouns. Is that the right word?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be the right word.
Monikers is another one for it.
Yeah. So I have no problem with that. I don't personally identify as a female. However, my character is a female, and when I'm partaking in said character, I identify with the character. I put myself in the mindset of the character. So I frankly, if someone's calling me Qyreia, whatever, I have no problem with it. Now, some folks might find that offensive. Some folks might say, well, unless you're transgender, and we're not opening that can of worms.
Gender appropriation.
Yeah, that kind of stuff, which I love that word. And
appropriation is a fun word, but it's becoming way too synonymous with bad stuff.
Well, it's also being overused and incorrectly used.
Like so many words.
Yeah.
So many words. And then they end up having the definitions changed, or the new word is added to the dictionary. And I don't wish "bae" to ever be a word that is officially recognized by the Oxford Dictionary, but that day happened.
I don't know why, because it's already a word. What is it, Dutch?
Yeah,
Danish?
for poo-poo.
Yeah. I know it's one of those languages or nationalities that starts with a D. And in either event, like, why? Why would you do this?
This is the part where you find out it's like the Netherlands or something.
Well, that would be Dutch.
Fair enough.
Let me loop back around here and ask you both. You are the girls and not actual girl. What made you guys want to play those characters?
Well, that's the easiest question of all time. Just, it's out of my comfort zone. It's something I don't know about, so I got to explore something completely new and interesting to me, and write from a perspective I've never actually looked at before.
That was part of my motivation, partly my motivation, but it also kind of came down to the racial selection and all that. And so I figured that, for a subject matter like Star Wars, that is so, I don't know any other way to dance around this, hypersexualized.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, especially for Zeltrons. I thought,
Twi'leks.
You know what? Oh, let's not get started on Twi'leks. We could make a whole podcast about Twi'leks. Or Twi'leks, or the...
Put a pin in it. Put a pin in that one.
Yeah, put a pin on that one.
Twi'leks. Anyway, yeah, just Zeltron gal, and I kind of thought, how could I make this the most interesting character possible? And I came up with a Zeltron female that totally Issues? Is that the one where they don't agree with it?
Correct, Issues.
Yeah.
Awesome. She eschews all of Zeltron culture, the hedonism, the drinking, she still eats a lot because she's a hyper metabolism, so she's skinny as a rail.
So you went with a Femtron just to be contrary?
No, I went with a Femtron because it would create an interesting character. I mean, how many people do you see that do that kind of stuff?
Yeah, they usually embrace whatever the racial traits are and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Humans are so generalized. And that's nothing against human characters, but they can go anywhere and not care. Whereas if you're playing a specific race, you tend to do so in order to not pander to that race's traits, but to follow them. That's why you pick that character.
And I explored Atty's traits quite heavily, and that actually makes her a very different character. most others, including other Miraluka.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm the lazy guy who has the genetically modified Umbran because I was forced to modify my character from a completely different race into one that we had.
Aw, there.
I just want to be a Ferrario. It's not that big a deal. Rain would be so happy if we brought back Ferrario.
Don't they have white hair and all that business?
No, they have two-toned hair.
Oh, okay.
Two-toned.
I need to go back onto Wikipedia.
White hair are the
Arcanians.
Arcanians, yeah.
Which I technically have an Inquisitor NPC, which I would love to explore more with, but I'm too busy writing all these other friggin' fictions to actually do that. Thanks, guys.
Story of life there. Well, I want to go back then and ask Atra.
Yeah, what's up?
If you ever ran into difficulties, because if you're exploring a character that's totally foreign to you, and it's usually easiest to write what you know. Yeah, we all do that to some extent, and to other extents, we just pick something we want to explore and we Google or we bullshit or something.
I mean, for me, it's...
Did you find it hard to do as a female? Was there anything that really tripped you playing her while you did?
I want to say not really, mostly because I come from a drama background, so I'm used to putting myself into a completely different perspective, and I've had to play female roles before. And it's just, yeah, I'd like to say no, but in actuality, you second guess a lot of the decisions you're making. You're like, okay, am I making this character too touchy-feely? Am I playing up things that I shouldn't be? I just was a lot more self-conscious of the words I was putting on the page than I would have otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't want to come across the wrong way. I was more concerned about how this character was being perceived by out-of-character standards than I ever have been with Atra.
That's actually very interesting. Whether it's to that higher standard because you don't want to be offensive or because you're worried about doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Or if that discomfort comes from the fact that it's something you don't know, very specific to the contradiction in gender and discomfort there. I know this one time, way back on IRC, may it forever rest in peace. We had a day in one of the RP chats where we thought, okay, everybody, rule 63, your gender swapped.
Oh God.
Your character stays the same, but they are a different gender. I think they were calling Atty Atticus. And as I was typing, I found all her normal behaviors, like, oh, go up and hug a random person, or be like, hey, sweetie, hey, friend, or any of that. And just about everything she did that was super
suddenly
friendly
became creepy.
Suddenly became creepy. I went to the end of every...
Gender stereotypes, equality.
I can't say this.
And that's unfortunate because I love just giving people hugs.
It was very weird to feel because I'm a girl and I'm sitting here and like nothing about this was ever wrong to me for a second before. But the moment I became me doing it as a guy character to like other girl characters, I was like, oh Jesus, I'd be pepper spraying him if he was real right now. What is this feeling?
Yeah, it's just awkward. And that's a lot of that has to do with societal standards and what we've been raised to expect. We expect that guys aren't touchy-feely, they're more withdrawn. And if they are touchy-feely, they're either you get into homophobic territory that I have no interest in discussing really, and society has skewed everything into expectations.
This is true.
You could call them great expectations.
Or terrible expectations.
Get
terrible.
Okay, that was a terrible book.
Literary jokes, huzzah!
No.
This is the Fictional Activity podcast.
Yeah, and you know what, Q? I'm sure you have lovely bones, huh? But you need to just move along.
What?
The Lovely Bones was a book series.
Oh, yeah. I vaguely heard about that and then totally forgot about it.
Yeah, if you want a trip, read that book. That's interesting because you spend the majority of the book through the perspective of a dead young girl. That is your narrative perspective, and that is trippy.
Mind Trip that I was told to read was a biography about Rasputin.
Oh, that would be a trip.
Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, I think we've really hit on most of the important things. Is that it's really just a cultural shift when you're a guy playing a girl, or even a girl playing a guy. Is that the expectations of your actions become different based on gender, and that could surprise a lot of people. It's not what you expect going into it. After a while, I'm sure you get used to it and you start questioning things less and less. But it's definitely this shock when you first switch over to it, and it's hard. It's rough, especially if you have unforgiving people around you that you're interacting with, because that can make you anxious as an author.
It also depends on the author's perspective on it too, I think, because sometimes you just have guys that have grown up with females their whole life. Like in my case, I was largely raised by my mother. Most of my best and closest friends are females. I have been in the estrogen ocean basically since I was 6. Okay.
Remember that one?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
And I can't even claim credit for it. But so I don't want to say I'm more in touch with my feminine side because that's not the case. I have seen how the other side of the force acts. I have seen their various ways and doings, and to be fair, it's not really that different from males. Yes, there's the stereotypes that guys are more reserved and withdrawn, and that females wonder how they can walk with that thing between their legs. But
hey, every now and then you gotta do that side shuffle. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
Or leaning forward in your seat in class.
Yep.
But that's why, like for my case, when I started writing Q, I had absolutely no reservations about writing a female. I entirely went with the I don't give a crap what other people think. This is my character. I will write her how I see fit. And if they don't like it, they don't have to pay attention.
Yeah.
Because it's not my responsibility to pander to the audience. If the audience wants to read it, they can read it. Otherwise, they can go read something else. But I'm kind of a douche that way. Now that we can probably censor.
No, I'm pleading your fifth. I'm pleading your fifth hard on this one.
Yeah. So I think for now we've beaten this into the dirt unless you have anything else.
I think exploring anything else on it would be tangenting into different topics.
We can always touch back on this later. Let's backtrack a bit
and go back to Atty.
Satsi.
Or Satsi.
Pick your poison.
Yeah, because you've talked a bit about Atty already. We don't know fictionally what brought her to the clan or anything like that, but we know nothing about Satsi, so. Other than Satsi's fun to say, and anyone who's watched Abridged, the Sword Art Online Abridged, knows a lot about Satsi.
I need to watch it, apparently.
I hate Sachi.
Yeah, it's Sachi, but it sounds like Satsi to me, so every time I hear it, it's like, Anyway, so yeah, this should be entertaining. I'd like to lean back and just take this in as you talk about this, but I don't think anyone wants to hear my chair creak. So proceed.
All right. Where to start there?
Okay, let's start with who is Satsi?
Other than crazy.
Well,
that's true. She's crazy.
She's also a red-headed Southern belle, apparently, from what I've read.
It's somewhere between a Southern belle and a Chicago streetie. All right. Satsi is a character of mine, actually made with Yuji, Donnie, whatever my program. Back when, 2 years ago, we got dragged into another RP for Naruto by our Stu, Sethkis, whatever you want to call him. We got bored really quick, so we just thought we'd make the most terrible characters we could come up with and try to torment the people there. So we made these this set of twins that was pretty much psychotic as shit, and just did our best for the one post that we writ on that forum to fuck with their day. And so we continued writing them a little bit after that, and ended up, as if we came up with more ideas for what they would be like in different settings, we just transported them over, like 1920s US, or eventually DJB, when Donnie killed off his original character here during the Dark Crusade. May that also rest in peace.
Please, we don't need to go back to participation-based metrics. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I just invoke Satan?
Don't say his name.
It gives it power.
So Donnie brought Yuji in.
So it's pronounced Yuji. That's good to know.
Huh?
I didn't know it was pronounced Yuji. I was always calling it Uji.
Yeah, Yuji. Yuji and Satsu, or was Satsugai, was the full thing originally. I'm probably badly butchering that Japanese, but that's okay.
Nope, sounds about right.
Yep, and so he brought Yuji in, and I was still playing Atty, obviously, and I never really to kill her off at the time. And I especially don't now that she's more clever.
But it would be such good fiction.
I know you want to write the stabbing. It might. We'll see.
I don't want to direct the stabbing. I want nothing to do with that.
Which is so ironic. So ironic. But anyway, we eventually, in our Kona initiative, which was just kind of a fictional award, say, here, you guys, we're going to assign you a personal soldier from our army, and you can make it an NPC and do what you want with it. And he brought Satsi in as Yuji's Fade. So that's where she started.
And that's where she started really getting fleshed out?
Yeah, that's where she came into the DB. And so, like, a new version of her really started to grow there. And what I wanted to do with her was explore this dynamic of, I don't know if NFU as a class had been introduced yet, but I made her a non-force user. And I liked some of the disparity there of equality between the siblings for their power levels and adding that on to their backgrounds. Sasi grew up on Coruscant, and
croissant.
Like croissant? Okay, she grew up on Croissant.
Oh, no, Coruscant. God damn it.
No. This is a thing now. Let it happen. Just let it happen, Atra.
No.
You see, the fun part is I just do this to cause him pain.
Because you have no other recourse in that regard.
So she grew up on Coruscant, and she was part of the Black Sun, whether or not they're still canon.
They're still canon.
Okay, well, she was part of the Black Sun, and I decided, okay, I was cruising the wiki one time and came across this thing on Wikipedia about force bonds. I'm like, I'm going to use that. And I know for a fact I don't write it like it should, because I haven't read Star Wars writing, and it's all very nebulous and all that. But I write it how I do. And so I had them have this mental force bond, even though she was a mundane, and eventually she her brother down that way and found him with a bunch of broody, emo, cloak-wearing wannabes. And decided, I'll put up shit just to stick around and make sure you don't die.
And that's how she joined the DB.
Yeah, that's how she got here.
And she's been punching her way through it ever since.
Pretty much.
The scarred, red-headed stepchild from Georgia.
And when the devil went down to visit her, and the devil came running right back.
That's accurate.
That's how I imagine her. She's red-headed, she's freckled. She's basically a ginger with a lot of scars and a Georgia accent.
And a well of anger.
And, well, I mean, that kind of goes with being a soul-sucking ginger.
Well, she's not naturally ginger. She dyes, but
she dyes her hair.
She's not freckled. They're both Asian. They're Asian. They have black hair.
You see, all of the pictures I've seen make her look not Asian. Maybe she needs to be in epicanthics.
No.
Hey, Atra.
Damn it.
I'll fucking do it. I will fucking do it.
Oh god, that laugh was not only way too weird for me, that was really high pitched. Ooh, I need to calm down. Or drink
so
another.
Yes, that is how Satsi got to the DB, and a lot of the fun for me was the great disparity between her character and Atty's character.
Oh, I can imagine.
They actually have quite a few parallels between them, and like they both care too much about the things they do care about. And they're protective of their families, things like that. But morally, they're oil and water, and I love writing interactions between them and just being able to play that other type of character. Atty is a non-combatant compared to Satsi, who would like punch for fun.
I mean, does that ever get to you when you're writing Atty, and all of a sudden you realize you're writing Satsi?
I
or would rather write Satsi in that situation?
that I have plenty of the time. I'm like, if I could be playing Satsi right now, I would be punching you in the face and dragging it across the ground. It would censors here, but Atty is all like, okay, let me take a step back and be true to Atty, where she's going to hold your fucking hand and make a flower crown for some fucking reason.
No space with you in a queue is safe.
It can be a little frustrating sometimes. I'll want to. I more often have it happen when I'm writing Atty that I want to be able to react to something like Satsi because she's a very visceral character. And so things I might feel more strongly, I can express more strongly with Satsi as compared to Atty, who is more tempered.
Have you ever contemplated NPCifying Atty and making Satsi your main?
Once or twice, but I don't think it's actually going to happen.
Because I really don't want you killing Atty off.
Just because you make somebody an NPC doesn't mean you kill it.
No,
I wouldn't
that's usually the alternative to killing them.
Yeah, is to make them an NPC if you're not going to kill them.
Actually, that'd be a good discussion point. Killing off your characters and the drama that ensues.
I am familiar with that topic.
I would say that if you had asked me maybe, I don't know, last year, I might have been more toward, I'm going to bench Atty eventually and play a Satsi, but now that's probably not the case. There's a lot of constraints fictionally as a console that I know some other people would probably sympathize with.
Terrell.
Yes, Terrell. Him. Where you can't always play everything you want to because it has to make sense fictionally. Like, I could not be console and have my player character be Satsi. Not only would it make 0 sense, the clan would go down in flames in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Not because she wouldn't have some sort of leadership skill, but because she'd sooner set them all on fire.
Exactly. Well, this has certainly been enlightening conversation. Not to mention, actually, frankly, it's been fun. Size aside. And
don't worry, I've got my count.
You know, thanks for coming on. It's been good conversation. I think we've gotten some topics to carry over to other conversations.
Oh yeah.
And, yeah. I think that's a good place to call it.
Here.
Oh, fun. That's what you call it.
Always fun to torment you, sweetie.
Oh, don't I know it, girlfriend?
Can you just
hey,
no?
Girl, hey.
Hey, we got in one more.
All right.
And we can go out on a side, call it a wrap.
Yep, that's that.
That is it for tonight. Join us next time as we talk about such exciting topics as relationships in a PG-13 world, adapting from fantasy to sci-fi, killing off your characters and the drama that ensues, and what's in Atra's sock drawer.
It sucks.
Sure it is. All right, folks.
Lots of tea bags.
See ya.
Lots of tea bags.
So I don't know. Loose leaf tea. Bye.